Norah Hastings, the woman society refused to understand. Norah Hastings stood beside the tall window of her aunt's house, watching the carriages roll through the streets of London. At 23 years old, she had become the subject of endless whispers. "Poor Norah," the ladies would say behind their fans. "Too old, too quiet, and without a fortune." In Regency society, beauty alone was not enough. A woman needed wealth, connections, and a suitable husband. Norah possessed none of these things. Her father had died years earlier, leaving only debts and a small inheritance that barely covered their expenses. Her aunt reminded her of this fact every morning. "You cannot remain unmarried forever, child," Lady Hastings said one rainy afternoon. "Society is not kind to women in your position." Norah forced a smile, though her heart ached. She dreamed of love, but not the sort that society demanded. She wanted kindness, honesty, and companionship, not a marriage arranged for money. A week later, Lady Hastings received an invitation to the grand spring ball hosted by the Duke of Blackwood. It was the most important event of the season. "Perhaps this will be your final chance," her aunt declared. On the night of the ball, Norah wore a pale blue gown that had belonged to her mother. She entered the magnificent ballroom and immediately felt out of place among the glittering jewels and expensive dresses. The young ladies laughed as gentlemen competed for their attention. No one approached Norah. She escaped to the garden, where moonlight illuminated the roses. Sitting alone on a stone bench, she sighed. "Forgive me, but you seem far happier among flowers than among people." Startled, Norah turned to see a tall gentleman dressed in black. "I could say the same for you," she replied. He smiled. "My name is Edward Ashford." Norah recognized the name instantly. Edward Ashford was the Duke of Blackwood himself. "You are the host of this ball. Shouldn't you be entertaining your guests?" "Perhaps," Edward said, sitting beside her. "But I find honest conversation far more interesting." For the rest of the evening, they talked about books, music, and the countryside. For the first time in years, Norah forgot about society's judgment. As the weeks passed, Edward visited Lady Hastings's home more often. Rumors spread across London. Why would a duke spend time with a penniless woman, people whispered. Norah began to fear that society would destroy their friendship. One afternoon, she confronted Edward. "You deserve someone wealthy and important," she said quietly. "Your family would never accept me." Edward looked at her with surprise. "Do you truly believe that wealth matters to me?" "It matters to everyone." He shook his head. "When my father died, he left me titles and estates, but very little happiness. Since meeting you, I have discovered that happiness cannot be purchased." Norah lowered her eyes. "Society will never approve." "Then let society disapprove." Months later, at another grand ball, Edward crossed the crowded room and knelt before Norah. "Miss Hastings, you once believed that no one would choose you. You were wrong. Will you marry me?" The ballroom fell silent. Tears filled Norah's eyes as she whispered, "Yes." On a bright summer morning, Norah Hastings married the Duke of Blackwood in a small country church surrounded by roses. The woman society had called too old and unwanted had found something far more valuable than wealth or status. She had found someone who saw her true worth.